Hello, investors. This is Ted Zhang, portfolio manager at Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, June 18th, 5:45 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. State of the market, we are still in an uptrend. Looking at the GROTECTION gauge, three up arrows in the market leader, short-term trend, medium-term trend, and currently still neutral for the long-term trend. We're still watching the mid caps and the small caps to see if they can get back above the 200-day moving averages. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, you could say that they're in a longer-term uptrend at this point. What happened today? Mute market reaction after FOMC, and that was more or less expected since everyone expected for the Fed to hold rates as it is. And there was nothing surprising from Powell in the press conference either. 21 over 21 list up 0.78%, 11 up, 7 neutral, 11 up, 3 neutral, 7 down. Turbo 12 up 0.13%, 5 up, 1 neutral, 4 down. Big 8 up 0.13%. RG8 up 0.81%. S&P 500 down 0.03%, pretty much flat. RSP pretty much flat, up 0.01%. Q is pretty much flat, down 0.02%. QQEW pretty much flat, down 0.11%. Dow down 0.10%. And mid caps and small caps showed some RS today. Mid caps up 0.33%, Russell up 0.52%. Global 60/40 equities bonds up 0.07%. GROTECTION up 0.14%, and Turbo up 0.37%. Starting off with S&P 500 daily chart as always, still above the 21 EMA, but closed back below the 6,000 level again. You can call this a handle or flag that's forming, or if you zoom in, let's say on a 30-minute, you can say this is a rounded top that's forming here as well. So we'll see what happens. A shakeout, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a shakeout, especially with many distribution days piling up and us hitting this left side resistance area. But of course, holding the 21 EMA is bullish, and this 50-day is starting to rapidly hook up. We soon might get the golden cross, so maybe a shakeout to the 5,200 before turning up higher. We don't know, so we'll just have to see. RSP still holding the 200-day moving average, building the right side of space. 180 remains the key level. The Qs still holding the 21 EMA, starting to form a couple handle now, over 340.81, and we are off to the races into new all-time highs. QQEW also pulling back to the 21 EMA, still watching that left side peak. Dow Jones back below the 200-day moving average, and you can say this is potentially bear flagging here. Mid caps still living below the 200, but building this range right here. Really, if we take the lows at this end, probably head lower. But taking out 30.88, we head higher, and we could slowly move our long-term trend to green. Russell rejected the 200-day moving average, fighting support the 21, holding price structure well. So that still remains healthy, and today we've seen some subtle relative strength. The VIX hovering right at 20. We would like to see that drop below 20. That's always better for the markets when the VIX is below 20. The dollar rallying a little bit, undercutting, reclaiming 98, but still below declining 21, 50, and 200-day moving average. So nothing notable there. Gold tries to poke its head out of all-time highs, but backs off so far, especially as the war or conflict in Iran and Israel, between Iran and Israel, hasn't escalated yet. So the fear has dissipated for now, but we'll see what happens. Just pulling back to the 21 EMA so far. Gold miners briefly made a new all-time high closing price. Now we're just drifting back on lower than average volume. Still fine action. And then looking at silver, silver stays strong, but today also saw some weakness. It's up after hours 0.45% as well. Bitcoin actually stays weak. IBIT is breaking the 21 EMA 50 days below. And we go to the Bitcoin chart, hovering at the 50-day moving average at this 105,000 level. As long as it holds really 100,000, it is fine action. And if we break 100,000, 111,000, that is the go signal. And finally, bonds. Even after today, not a whole lot of movement, pretty much flat on bonds. 2-year didn't do much, has been chopping for the last 2 months. 10-year, same thing, really has just been consolidating and chopping for the last 2 months. So that is it for the inter-asset correlation. And now I'm going to talk about the tail of the tape. CNN fear and greed dropped 8 to 54. Still operate under the bull case. News today, FOMC forecasts stagflationary numbers, but we held rates as it is. And just some other economic data. Building permits came in lower than expected, and often that's a leading economic indicator. And so that's really it there. Today's keys, we're watching the S&P versus 21 EMA at 59.37. We closed above. Qs versus 21 EMA in 522. She also closed above. And Russell continues to close below the 200-day moving average, but above the 21 EMA. Day count, consolidation of 5 days, the consolidation of 6 days. 1 day below the 8 EMA, 39 days but above the 21 EMA. Expectations are still positive. Strong sectors, bond yields are up, so bond prices are down, although minusculely. Dollar is up, utilities, real estate. Tech was up, RK, uranium, and regional banks. Energy, builders, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and oil and gas. No changes in GROTECTION, no changes in turbo. Beta and grow, 1.47. Open heat, 4.18%. Turbo, 2.33 beta, 5.79% open heat. And the bottom line is mute market reaction after FOMC. And just some other miscellaneous news for y'all. Of course, that Iran and Israel conflict is continuing. And they're just weighing options whether the US gets involved with our bunker busters to strike the Fordo nuclear plant or not. But no one really knows right now, and that remains a fluid and dynamic situation. Another big piece of news was the Senate was coming up with some regulatory clarity for stablecoins, and that led to big moves in Circle and Coin. And I will show those charts right now, actually. Since no changes, I'm not going to go over really anything with the changes to the portfolio. Actually, let's review the portfolios real quick. Let's go over Bitcoin, which we did. Spotify, GROTECTION continues to trend nicely. NVIDIA also continues to trend nicely. Nothing too much to talk about. Hood, a new all-time high. Really can't be mad about a new all-time high, trending nicely above the 21 EMA. Palantir, also just trending nicely. HIMS, seeing some resistance at the 62 area. And this is bars, but with the candlestick, the open is around 62, so we kind of found resistance right there. And then CoreWeave struggling a little bit, but retested the previous all-time highs and held, so that is a good sign. And then Chem, kind of just building out this right side, potentially looking to gain some momentum. In Turbo, our unique positions, Ethereum is holding the lows of the range. SMR pulling back a little bit, but still trending well above the 21 EMA. Lou, extraordinary action with his nuclear name, another new all-time high. Uber, found support the 50-day, bearish engulfing, so that has our antennas up, and we're going to watch it closely if we want to cut that. It really hasn't done anything for us in the last few weeks. GEV continues to trend nicely, and then MBIS fades off 50, but just still building a flag, so that is a fine action for now. So that is it with the tail of the tape. Let us talk about Coin first. Just a humongous move off the catalyst from the Senate stablecoin regulatory clarity, and then Circle Group was the standout. Found support. Sold off a little bit early, found support at 150 and ripped all the way to 200. And after hours, we're capping up another 6.2%. This is really heading for a blow off here. The IPO is supposed to be 31. It's already 210. That's over a 7x, almost a 7x. And since most of Circle's revenues goes to Coin, that is why Coin did well too. On the flip side, MasterCard sold off huge off this news, and Visa. Perhaps the market sees stable coins as competition to these legacy credit card companies. We debated with the team or discussed with the team. We couldn't pinpoint exactly why, the mechanism that is causing credit cards to come down, but stablecoins do compete with payment processing, and that is for sure. We'll go over Turbo 12 first. Lemonade failed support the 21 EMA, up 6.9%, potentially building a handle here. MP continues higher once again. This has been an extraordinary move from sub 19 to almost 39, 100% move in this flag. I want to flag the form now, and that will trigger high tide flag breakout in the future. Trump's executive orders on rare earth mining has been a catalyst for the sector. Talked about LD already, new all-time high. HSI LiDAR name breaks below the 21, so that will have to come off Turbo 12 soon. This pokes its head out. GH SMR continues to consolidate here. We really need to hold above this level. Cecil, super strong. Frozen rope action. Up the 8 EMA and 21 EMA. Dave breaks the 21 now, showing some weakness. Oddity also breaks the 21, so that's 3 names. KTOS continues to trend nicely. Qubit also bearish engulfing, but still trending fine above the 21. And then TMDX, huge crack below the 21 EMA. For the 21 over 21, I'll review the top 5 names and the top 5 names of winners and losers. CRDO, amazing action. Broke out this post-earnings gap flag, and really, we're pretty much seeing all-time high close here. Hood, already talked about, new all-time high. HIMS continues to build out this range. There's definitely supply off this failed breakout right here, and that's probably why this is always just consolidating up and down, oscillating up and down, and perhaps we finally get up here, absorb the supply, get tight, and then break out from there. Light, new higher highs. VST, nuclear name, breaks out this handle. Really good action there. Palantir, we talked about this, own and grow. And on the downside, Spotify, own and grow, but this is completely normal action. Just Spotify's character and its trend. Tempest AI is potentially building out its handle here after failing at 72. CoreWeave, a monster IPO name, breaks out this high tide flag. I personally see 200 coming shortly, but of course anything can happen. Gold miners consolidating again, and then Bitcoin breaking the 21 EMA, but of course on the actual Bitcoin spot chart, it held the 50-day moving average. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up today's video. FOMC day, tomorrow's Juneteenth. Happy day off. And we'll be back Friday with the podcast and the nightly video. That being said, if you're interested in Revere Asset, you can email me at ted@revereasset.com. My Twitter X is Ted H. Zhang. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. Our website is revereasset.com. And then our YouTube, X, Instagram, and TikTok is Revere Asset. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your week, and we will be back with more content.